Thank you, President Gaffney. Thank you to the trustees. Thank you to all of you. They've told me I'm only supposed to speak for 3 minutes, so I'm going to be brief. As King Henry VIII said to each of his wives, I won't keep you long. Now, it is typical at these graduation events to dole out some life wisdom. So here's my contribution, based on more than 20 years of experience, both in a marriage and in the workforce. My tip to you, graduates of 2015, is whatever else happens to you, do not allow yourselves to be stripped of your sense of humor. Because if you can't occasionally laugh at yourselves and your circumstances, you're going to spend your entire lives fighting down heartburn. Now, I'm a guy who covers the Pope, so let me tell you a quick Pope story to illustrate the validity of this point. This story goes back to 2005. That's the year that Pope John Paul II died and Pope Benedict XVI was elected. I cranked out one of these Instabooks about the new Pope called The Rise of Benedict XVI. Now, there's a tradition in the Vatican Press Corps that when one of us writes a book about the Pope, we always inscribe a copy to the Holy Father. And then we give it to either his priest secretary or his spokesperson or someone as a kind of tribute. To be honest with you, it had never entered my mind for a moment that a Pope would actually read these books, okay? I had envisioned a box in the basement of the Apostolic Palace where they all gather dust. So Benedict is elected in April. I write my book in May. It comes out June 1st. I dutifully inscribed a copy. I gave it to the Pope's guy and forgot about it. Now, flash forward to August of that year. My wife and I are back in the United States. We're visiting my 95-year-old grandmother out in Hill City, Kansas, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is my candidate for the worst place name in America, because there is no hill, and there sure as hell is no city, okay? I mean, we're talking about 400 people. Just to give you a sense of the cultural milieu I'm describing, there is one motel in Hill City, America. It is called the Western Hills Motel. I have stayed in some pretty funky lodgings around the world, but this is the only motel I have ever stayed in where there is a laminated sign in the bathroom that reads, "Please do not gut your birds in the sink." Okay. When I first took my wife there, she asked me, is there some kind of weird sexual thing? And to explain, no, honey, they do a lot of pheasant hunting around here. It's for real. Anyway, so we're there with my grandma, and one day my cell phone goes off, and you can tell, who's calling. So I could tell it was Joaquin Navarro-Valls, who at the time was still the Pope's spokesperson. And I picked up the call, and he said, John, I wanted you to know that I am on vacation with the Pope up in northern Italy, and this morning he came down to breakfast with your book in his hands, and he asked me to deliver you a message about the book. Now, I don't know about you, but if you've just been told the Pope has a personal reaction to something you've written about him, I would want to make sure your tray table is in a full upright and locked position, because the skies might get a little bumpy. But, I said, Joaquin, of course, that's wonderful. What's the message? Now, to get this, you have to understand that my book was divided into thirds, okay? So the first third were the final days of John Paul II. The middle part was the inside story of how Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger had been elected Pope Benedict XVI. And then the last part was my predictions about where his papacy was going to go, okay? So Navarro says, the Holy Father's message was the following. Please thank Herr Dr. Allen for having written this book, particularly the last part about the future of my papacy, because it has saved me the trouble of thinking about it for myself. I like to think he was kidding. Graduates of 2015, I would suggest that on this score, as on so many others, we take our cue from the Holy Father. If you can take a clear-eyed, unflinching look at the challenges, the difficulties, the heartache, the brokenness in your own lives and those to whom you are close, but if you can do that with a smile on your face, with joy in your heart rather than anger and anxiety and trembling in your spleen, then, ladies and gentlemen, you are poised for success in this life and in the next. Thank you. God bless you. God bless Lewis University. God bless the class of 2015.